So thank you, Dr. Goldenberg, for joining us. If you could just give us a little bit of background on your history and what brought you to having created this exciting method.
Sure. I'm an engineer. My second degrees were the aeronautical and mechanical engineering, and then I thought of doing some research on creativity and problem solving. For my living, I trained engineers using an old Russian method. The first version was ARIS, then it was evolved to trees, and that came to Israel from Russia, and I was one of the students. And then I started to train engineers with that, and I was looking for a PhD idea. And the dissertation was about how to develop systematic approaches to creative ideas in the field of marketing. I studied it in physics, and naturally my first paper to business school was rejected because I wrote it in physics jargon. But thank God it was rejected, because then I realized that I know nothing about business and marketing, so I had to learn it, and then I was exposed to business. Eventually I moved to business, and there I finished together physics and business school. PhD, both deans had to sign on this strange PhD. But then the road was paved to stay in research in the field, and I went for postdoc in Columbia University, and then returned to Israel. That is the academic path. The dissertation was about finding those templates, those creative ideas that had the same common pattern, that you can use them in order to find new creative ideas. That was I was lucky. It was published in the leading journals, in JMR, in Marketing Science, in Management Science, and one of the projects was eventually published in Science, and that was the beginning of my career. Later I added other topics like innovation, social networks, complexity modeling. Some tricks that I learned in physics, I apply them to individual level modeling in marketing, but I always had this passion to creativity, so I'm keep teaching it. I'm working on topics like how to idea source and how to use crowdsourcing for ideation, like you build networks in order to create order in this chaotic process. This is the main topics right now.
Oh, awesome.
Was that too long?
No, it's perfect. Oh, no. I think it's really helpful to know where this came from. Now, how long has SAT or systematic inventive thinking been in use?
Well,
and where? Like, how have you seen it be used?
during the PhD, I realized that the only way to prove it well is take it outside the lab and do it in real life setting. So in a very naive way, I founded a firm together with my colleagues and friends. It is called SIT, Systematic Inventive Thinking, using these templates. And I told you before, I believe strongly in this sentence, we're in New York. There's nothing more practical than a good theory. And I understood it a little later, but I thought that if it is not implemented in the field, then maybe this is not a good theory, it's just a theory. So it was equally important for me to publish it in the leading places, publish the books in leading publishers, make sure that it was taught in the leading schools. Maybe I should add that we already are there. It is taught in different versions, different models, different lengths, but it is taught in Wharton. They give between 3 to 4 courses a year, full courses on creativity. It is taught in smaller, shorter version in Harvard, in Stanford for executive education, in Chicago, and there are many other universities. It is spread already nicely, but these are just the leading schools. So it was important for me all that, but without implementation in the field, we did nothing. No, it's no impact. It's not really relevant. So the goal of SIT was to work and make their money, make their living out of this paradigm. They started to develop it further, mainly for practical reasons. to make it more accessible, easier to work with, how to facilitate it better. And they made some progress. For me, it was important to stay full-time academic. So once I worked with the first generation, I stepped back. Still in touch with them. If there are projects that my knowledge can help, then of course we do it together. But this company is running by itself, and there are around 60 people there. They work all over the world. I think that in every category, if you look at the leading firms, there is at least one from the three top firms that experienced SIT and worked with it. There are many products, many services that were implemented through this method. Unfortunately, we can mention and give the details only on few of them, because sometimes firms don't like to admit that they need to outsource the ideation, because idea is something very private, very personal, and it should belong to the firm. It's like its asset, which is. It is, but in order to find ideas, in order to solve problems, sometimes you need some facilitations from the outside, and this is what SIT is doing. So if you look at the leading firms, any kind of field, you will find them. It is used in North America, in Latin America, in Europe, in China, in India. It is spread all over. Eastern Europe also, but mainly on communication. And hopefully it will continue to grow.
Great, thank you so much. It is a very exciting method, and I think for people who are watching this who don't really understand it, it's very hard to sort of summarize it in a short period of time, but if you could try, could you talk about some of the key principles of this model, and why somebody would want to use systematic creativity and templates as opposed to other creativity models to get to a good innovation or a good inventive solution?
So most people, I don't think they want to try SIT because it's not as fun and as easy as other methods. It's very easy to run brainstorming. It's real fun. Or any other technique that involved in random stimulation, in breaking the discussion into unconnected pieces. Think a little bit of something and then jump somewhere else, think of something else. A lot of fun, a lot of fluency, and no effort, no cognitive effort. So on the face of it, people are reluctant to try SIT unless they really want results. If they want results, if the process is not the goal, if the process is just the mean to find an idea, then SIT is much more efficient. There are no reliable statistics, but broadly the numbers that are discussed, that about 0.5% of the workshops on creativity end up with an implemented idea, successfully implemented an idea. In SIT, the numbers are in order of magnitude, actually 2 orders of magnitude larger. Last time I saw the numbers, they were between 20 to 30% successful implementation. So maybe the workshop itself or the week that you work together, it doesn't have to be a workshop, it can be a couple of students, maybe a few students, 10 students, that decide to innovate and they meet together only because they share the same knowledge and method and they like it, they have the passion to it. So they sit together and find an idea and then implement that. We don't know unless they tell us. It's not part of SIT work, but that's also something that is done. So the successful implementations rates are extremely high, and the process is it's a serious thought process, meaning that you cannot escape. You have to do something based on some rules that you learned and commit to the process, and therefore sometimes you don't like to be engaged in this again, unless it's important for you to find an idea, important for you to surprise your competitors, surprise your clients, surprise your markets. Then you need this creative idea. How much time do you want to invest in this? Well, it depends. Normally people are very busy. They don't have the time for this. But if you spend, let's say, a few hours in a month in order to develop something, then from the firm perspective, this is not a high investment. From your own perspective, I think this is training. This is learning something and improve your skills. So people are doing this, they train themselves. If you commit to a few hours a month and you commit to this method, I think it is most likely that you'll have each year few ideas that are serious candidates to be implemented. By the way, you don't have to be creative every month in your life. It's too much. If you are able to innovate once in 5 years, really innovate, and there is a new product or a new service that was developed, the idea was developed by you, you should be a very happy man.
Thank you. So where do you see the work that you have created going? What do you see as the next step?
My view about the next step is a little different than the other partners in this game, and you know that there are. My goal is that all universities in the world will teach creativity using systematic approaches. I'm pretty flexible. They don't have to teach exactly the same course I do. But if this method is taught everywhere in the world, I truly believe that life will be better because we will be more efficient. We'll find more ideas, more useful ideas. Creative ideas, by the way, are not better than non-creative ideas, but sometimes you don't have sufficiently good ideas, so you have to approach it in a creative way. So we'll have better ideas, better products, better services, and it is a fun course. Students really like it. So also for the professors, I think it's a nice arrangement because the load is not very high. Students are happy. You don't have to work on discipline, or it's a good life. And my goal, maybe vision, is that before I retire, all universities in the world will teach it.
Well, I really certainly hope so for all of us. Thank you so much for this time. I really appreciate it, and we look forward to continuing to practice systematic creativity.
Thank you.